So we bring up the S&P 500. This is just from my watch list. It's preset S&P 500, and then if I click over here, it lists all of the sectors. And within each of these sectors, if I click on it, it lists all of the industries. And then within each of these industries, if I click on it, it lists the companies. Now you should be able to do this in most bits of software. Most bits of charting software, get a breakdown of the sectors and the industries. Now, I haven't ever found a bit of software where it's quite as easy to do as in this software, which was one of the reasons why I like this so much. But you should be able to set this up in whatever software you're using. Maybe you'll have to do it manually, but there should be a way to do that. Now, as I said, this all comes preloaded, so we don't have to do anything. We've already got all of these things organized for us. For those of you who aren't familiar with sectors and industries, just a quick recap. Sectors, that's the very big grouping of companies. It's actually a big grouping of industries. So for example, the technology sector. Within the technology sector, there are smaller groupings of companies called industries. So within technology, we have the telecoms industry, we have the hardware industry, we have the electronics industry. They're all part of the big technology sector. Within each of those industries, we then have the companies. So, for example, computer hardware industry, we'd have the Dell computers, we'd have Apple computers, we'd have IBM. So let's use the example I just talked about. So technology, here's the sector. If I click on it, it then tells me all the industries within that sector. So computer hardware there, we've got electronics there. And every time I click on one of these, so computer hardware, it's telling me the companies within it. So we've got Apple, we've got Dell, we've got IBM, we've got Hewlett-Packard there. So what do I want to do when I'm doing my analysis this way? I tend to do both. So some of the analysis I'll do will be straight on shares, just looking at lists, for example, the S&P 500 or the S&P 1500, and I'll just do pure technical analysis looking for great trades. But part of what I like to do when I do my analysis is to, when I'm looking for shares, is to do a sector analysis where I look through all of the sectors to find out which sectors are doing particularly well, or which sectors are doing particularly badly. If I'm looking for trades to make money as shares go down, and what I'll do is I'll look at the sector, and then I'll also look at each of the industries within that sector, because maybe there's a sector that's doing okay, but there's a particular industry within it that's doing fantastic, and I want to know about that industry then. It's a great way to find trades. Now, the sector and the industry has a massive influence on what's happening to your share. What's happening to the sector and the industry that share is in has a massive influence. So it's very important we cover this. And I mean, some people say that what happens to the sector and industry has about 80% influence on what's going to happen to your share price. Now, that's pretty big, so it's obviously important that we do this. Let's have a look. Let's do this for real. We're looking for trades. We're going to place some trades as soon as we find them. So this is exactly what we need to do. As soon as we find a trade, we'll actually go to the account and we'll place the trade. So let's have a look. First of all, this is automobiles we're looking at. So this is the whole sector we're looking at. Now remember, whatever happens to the market, if the market's going up, there could be sectors that are racing down. If the market's going down, there could be sectors that are racing up, because the sectors can do completely different things to what the market's doing. So we don't really care what's happening to the market. We're doing, for this particular approach of analysis, we're looking at the sectors, and then what do we want? If we find a good sector, a sector that's going up, we then want to find industries that are also going up within that sector, and then we're looking for the shares that are also going up. If we found a sector that's going down, we're looking for industries within that sector that are going down and shares that are going down. And if we find a sector that's going sideways, we're not really interested, unless it was going sideways in a way where the channel or the sideways movement is big enough where we can still get a trade out of it. So that's how we go about this analysis. So let's look through these sectors. We're looking for either good sectors that are going up or we're looking for very bad sectors that are going down so we can find some short trades. And ideally, we want a mix of both. We want some long trades, we want some short trades, as we said, for balancing a portfolio. So let's have a look. This is, as we said, this is automobiles we're looking at now. What do we think? This great big move up here. Do you think we're likely to get a pause or a bit of a pullback? Yeah, I'd say pretty certain we're going to get a pause or a bit of a pullback now. Pullback maybe coming down to here. It might just pause, and if it paused, then it could take off again. So is it ready right now? No, not really. We can have a look at the industries to see if any of them have already done a pullback or have already paused and taken off, because sometimes what you'll find is the industry within the sector will lead the whole sector. In other words, an industry within the sector will react quicker than the whole sector. So we can have a look and see if any of the industries are ready. So this is automobiles, and it's been going up, and it's almost doing a channel here. We could draw that in, something like that, and then something like that, and it's towards the top of the channel, so there's not really a trade in it. This is pretty much like the sector, except for it's actually done a bit of a pause, whereas the sector hadn't done much of a pause. This one's taken off, and it's right near this resistance level here. So we'd want it either to break through there or hit it and then come back down. And this one, again, it's right at that level. It's actually just broken through it, but probably not by enough for us to say, okay, it's ready to trade. So straight on to the next sector. And this is the banking sector. Generally been going sideways, down slightly for quite a bit of time. So nothing particularly exciting there on that sector. So generally, a situation like this, I'd just ignore the sector. As it's only the second sector we're looking at, I'm just going to have a quick look at the industry, see if there was anything particularly great that was happening with the industries. But you could, if you wanted to, say, yeah, not very interesting sector, it's kind of going sideways down a little bit, so I'll just leave it. But let's have a look at the industries just out of interest. Maybe there's something outstanding going on. Kind of sideways. This one down slightly. And let's look at the last one. Last one's been going down. It's quite a crazy industry here, all over the place. So none of them were particularly good industries, which